Researchers have found a direct relationship between consuming pornography and having a sexual attraction towards children. Pornography is a widely accepted part of Australian culture. According to culture critic Jacqueline notes from the University of the Sunshine Coast, it can be attributed to the ideology of materialism and living for happiness. She says that materialism, consumerism and the private access to internet are all indirect causes of pedophilia in Australian society.
It's a result of the individual in the environment.
Yeah.
How do you think you're born a paedophile? It's probably very different for each case. I think it's something that the individual could have suffered in their childhood, especially if they have been sexually abused in their childhood. So, in that case, it's definitely nurture over nature. I don't think that they're born pedophiles at all. I do think the media and our communications, especially our sophisticated communications with the internet, actually permit characters like pedophiles to engage in their pursuits easily, much more easily than they did. For instance, I don't imagine, I think it'd be very difficult for a paedophile to go into a newsagent and purchase a book or some sort of pornography magazine to their desire or to their liking, but because they're allowed them to, because they can access these images and material on the internet in a closed space, in a very private space, indirectly makes it much easier for them to exist. So I think this is indirect causes in society. I mean, I don't think it's not out there to encourage such behaviour of individuals, but implicitly it does, yes. Pedophiles in Australia do go to Asia because it's much easier to find and satisfy their desires, their sexual desires with children. And also I think there is a certain amount of imperialistic ideology that they would harbour, but probably wouldn't be very aware of. For instance, I think that they can go to Asia knowingly to purchase children for their deviant sexual pleasure, under the premise that they are buying these children and that they have a right to buy these children, which may alleviate their parents who return to the hills to purchase and use the money to purchase seeds or whatever for their rural activities to try and alleviate themselves from this terrible poverty that they struggle with. So then the Australian has bought the child under the premise that they're going to look after them, provide them with food and shelter. But from there it slips very easily. There's this a very easy slip between looking after the child and then slipping into this sexual pleasure or having sex with children for their own pleasure. And I think that the slide is very easy for them. It is much easier for them to do, this is the Australian paedophile, it's much easier for them to carry out this kind of pursuit in Southeast Asia, where it is cheaper to live and where the legal constraints are not nearly so prevalent, where you do have corruption. They can, if they are found by any law enforcement, they can actually buy their way out of it.
How do you think the notion of materialism, like filling our lives with things to make us happy, contribute to this sort of behaviour?
Well, that's a big question, because we live in a consumer society, and we also live in this society of sort of instant gratitude, where we expect instant happiness from a number of things. We go out and we indulge in buying because it makes us happy. You know, we get something that that makes us feel good. And I think that this pursuit of pleasure is takes up a very big space in our society, and I think it does easily too slip into hedonism, where it's all about self-pleasure, self-gain, everything for our self-happiness, without any further thought or extended thought for society or other members of society.
That ideology that almost justifies it for them, that they, like, it's their right to be happy and that's what makes them happy, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I think it's very self-centered, and I think it's a very fickle or superficial philosophy to live by. Is this pursuit of happiness?